Welcome back to another edition of Solve. Today we are working on a 2019 Kia Stinger. We're going to be doing the front brake pads and rotors, 21mm socket after you jack it up safely on the frame. Okay, now we got the wheel off. Make sure you got a catch pan underneath, and we're going to press back the piston caliper. You can use a 10mm wrench or ratcheting wrench. You want to lube it up, or sometimes it just comes loose. Now it's starting to drip. And what you do is put a pry bar here and then just start to gently pull towards the outside. Once you start pulling, then you can stick your pry bar in there, and what you're doing is pushing the piston back so you get rid of the old brake fluid. Okay, now you got your lower caliper bolt. That's the only one you're going to loosen, and then you have two 17s, which I already have the socket. There's one there, and then there's one right there. Once you take the 14mm bolt out, you just simply swing this up, and you'll see that the piston has already been flushed back. You want to grab yourself an S-hook or something strong like this, then slide the caliper out, rest it up here momentarily, and then take your S-hook to make sure that it doesn't fall. So that way you don't have any brake hose issues, and then hang it on the spring. Next, we're going to take these clips off and set them aside because we're going to be reusing them. Next, we're going to use an impact driver set. This one has to be a snap-on one. Here's the part number right there, I think. Anyway, this is what it looks like here. You're going to hold it like this, and then you're going to use a hammer, and I'll show you how that works in a moment. We're going to put it on these set screws, which are installed at the factory just for the purpose of holding the rotor on while they're assembling the brakes. So in a moment, I'm going to take this hammer, give it one good whack, and turn with my left hand. I'm going to hold this and turn at the same time as I whack it. And once you do that, then it comes free. Now check these first, because sometimes they're already loose. And if you look at this one, it's already been mangled from a previous time that the rotor had to be taken off and probably resurfaced. All right, so the phone is leaning on the caliper bracket, so I can show you how to do this one all in one shot. Again, you're turning left here and one whack, and then it comes loose, and that's it. So now that we got the set screws out, we're going to put some P-Blaster around here where the rotor hat meets the wheel hub assembly. As you can see, this was heavily rusted. We'll spray it up pretty good and then let it sit on there for about an extra minute or two so it can penetrate, and then we'll give the hat a good whack with the hammer. Now, one of two ways that you can hit this, now that the penetrant has, and this is what I used by the way, has made its way. I sprayed it around the hat where it meets here and then down the threads, because there is rust that builds up. If you're going to resurface the rotors, you want to hit it here. If you're changing the rotors like what we're doing today, you can hit it either here or here. But if you're going to hit it here, hit it from behind if you have the room. We're doing this on the ground, so it makes it a little more difficult. But let's see what happens. Yep, that's just my tool. Yeah, that was pretty rusty, so sorry for the noise. But there you go. And now we're going to get a wire wheel and we're going to clean all that up. Okay, so now you can see the difference from the moment or two ago where you saw before I paused it. I also like to clean up all the mating surfaces where the caliper meets, and we're going to continue that throughout the caliper. I was saying that also I want to point out, if you're going to be resurfacing the rotor, make sure you take that same wire wheel and you clean up the hat, because that's where the rim goes up against. You want to clean in here, and you definitely want to clean in here, because this is the surface that mounts up against the hub along with the inside of the wheel. And here you can see on the inside of the wheel, it's relatively clean, but even though it's a new rotor, we're going to clean this anyway. It's just, you know, good practice. All right, so we did a pretty good job over here. We make sure that we clean the surface here where the pad will be touching, and of course over here where the pads touch, you want to make sure that that's really clean, so that way you avoid it. If there's any brake dust in there, you may get some squealing. Finally, you get yourself a can of brake cleaner, and you just give it a little bit of a light rinse. Notice I'm not pressing full throttle like that. You can gently press it, and you just want to get any residual surface brake dust left over off the backing plate and the caliper. Do both sides, meaning inside and outside of the caliper. Flip it over and get that side too. Once again, you grab your Shop Pro brake cleaner. You're gonna spray the outside surface over here on the inside and outside, and then you're gonna wipe it off, because all brake rotors come with a coating on it to keep it from rusting while it sits on the shelves until they're ready to sell it. And then before you mount that, you wanna grab yourself some synthetic brake caliper grease, and you wanna lubricate right here where the inside of the rotor hat will meet that surface, so the next time it needs to come off, it will hopefully not be rusty. There you go right there. You don't have to get all Michelangelo on it, but just make sure you get all 360 degrees of it, and you'll be golden. Now let's mount the rotor back on. Don't forget to line up the set screws, so you find one of them. The stud is here, the set screws to the right, so that means this one is the one that goes there, not this one, because this one would be on the other side. Wipe off any residual grease that's left over. You can use it on the threads for the set screws. And then when you're reinstalling these, you just tighten it by hand. You do not tighten it with the hammer. You do not need to whack it on. Now we have the caliper bracket. We're going to brush all this brake dust off. We're going to remove this here pin. Take that out. We're going to clean it up and use the same synthetic grease on this one and on this one. The other bolt is still in the caliper, and we're going to put a little bit of grease in there. Again, not too much. A little bit goes a long way. This one seems to be moving nicely, and this is what you want it to do. You want it to be nice and loose. If it is tight, that means there's no grease left in there. This fortunately is a hexagonal. I believe it's a 17 or whatever the size is. Turn it with a wrench a few times to break it loose. Do not try to pull it out and force it. You could damage it. So as you can see, we put a little bit of grease where the threads where the bracket gets bolted to the steering knuckle, and then of course these are the slide pins. Okay, now that the pads are in, the pad that's the outboard, that's this side, does not have a sensor, and the one that's inboard, move the light here, does have a sensor right there, right there. Okay, I always put them on the bottom, and it must be on the inboard sensor. This kit came with new hardware. Even though we cleaned it up, we wound up putting the new hardware on, of course. And it came with these new stay clips that will hold the pads in place. And now we're going to reinstall the caliper. Just slide this in here. Oop, I dropped the boot. Okay, continuing on again. You're going to insert the pin into the boot and then simply slide it down. It may not make full contact and slide over right away. You want to make sure that the pin recesses like that. Then you take your bolt, 14 millimeter, finger thread it in, and then tighten it with the wrench. Try not to use an impact driver unless you're very familiar with brakes. It'd be best to make sure you do not cross the threads. And there you go. That is the completed repair from start to finish on the 2019 Kia Stinger passenger front brake. When doing brakes, you always want to start furthest from the master cylinder. Because we're only doing fronts, we're going to start at the passenger side. Everything I did over here, you're going to duplicate on the driver's side. Thanks so much for watching another edition of Solved. Any questions, concerns, or comments, feel free to ask. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and follow. If this video has helped you, or you know somebody else it can help, please share it with them. Stay safe and have a great day.